Jinn, also Romanized as jinn or anglicized as genies, are supernatural creatures in early Arabian and later Islamic mythology and theology. An individual member of the jinn is known as a jinni, jinni, or genie. They are mentioned frequently in the Quran and other Islamic texts and inhabit an unseen world, another universe beyond the known universe. The Quran says that the jinn are made of a smokeless and scorching fire, but are also physical in nature, being able to interact in a tactile manner with people and objects and likewise be acted upon. The jinn, humans, and angels make up the three known sapient creations of God. Like human beings, the jinn can be good, evil, or neutrally benevolent and hence have free will like humans and unlike angels. The shaitan jinn are akin to demons in Christian tradition, but the jinn are not angels and the Quran draws a clear distinction between the two creations. The Quran states in Surah Al-Kahf, Ayah 50, that Iblis is one of the jinn. Etymology: Jinn is an Arabic collective noun deriving from the Semitic root jinn, whose primary meaning is to hide. Some authors interpret the word to mean, literally, beings that are concealed from the senses. Cognates include the Arabic majnun, janna, and janin. Jinn is properly treated as a plural, with the singular being jinni. The anglicized form genie is a borrowing of the French génie, from the Latin genius, a guardian spirit of people and places in Roman religion. It first appeared in 18th-century translations of the 1001 Nights from the French, where it had been used owing to its raw similarity in sound and sense. Pre-Islamic Arabia. Archaeological evidence found in northwestern Arabia seems to indicate the worship of jinn, or at least their tributary status. Hundreds of years before Islam, an Aramaic inscription from Beth Fasil near Palmyra pays tribute to the Ginne, the good and rewarding gods, and it has been argued that the term is related to the Arabic jinn. Numerous mentions of jinn in the Quran and testimony of both pre-Islamic and Islamic literature indicate that the belief in spirits was prominent in pre-Islamic Bedouin religion. However, there is evidence that the word jinn is derived from Aramaic, where it was used by Christians to designate pagan gods reduced to the status of demons, and was introduced into Arabic folklore only late in the pre-Islamic era. Julius Wellhausen has observed that such spirits were thought to inhabit desolate, dingy and dark places and that they were feared. One had to protect oneself from them, but they were not the objects of a true cult. Islam. In Islamic theology, jinn are said to be creatures with free will, made from smokeless fire by Allah as humans were made of clay, among other things. According to the Quran, jinn have free will, and Iblis abused this freedom in front of Allah by refusing to bow to Adam when Allah ordered angels and jinn to do so. For disobeying Allah, Iblis was expelled from paradise and called shaitan. Jinn are frequently mentioned in the Quran. Surah 72 is named after the jinn, and has a passage about them. Another surah mentions jinn in the last verse. The Quran also mentions that Muhammad was sent as a prophet to both humanity and the jinn, and that prophets and messengers were sent to both communities. They are usually invisible to humans, but humans do appear clearly to jinn, as they can possess them. Jinn have the power to travel large distances at extreme speeds and are thought to live in remote areas, mountains, seas, trees, and the air, in their own communities. Like humans, jinn will also be judged on the Day of Judgment, and will be sent to paradise or hell according to their deeds. Classifications and characteristics. The social organization of the jinn community resembles that of humans, e.g., they have kings, courts of law, weddings, and mourning rituals. One common belief in Muslim law lists 5 distinct orders of demons: the marid, the ifrit, the shaitan, the jinn, and the jann. A few traditions divide jinn into 3 classes: those who have wings and fly in the air, those who resemble snakes and dogs, and those who travel about ceaselessly. Describe them as creatures of different forms, some resembling vultures and snakes, others tall men in white garb. They may even appear as dragons, onagers, or a number of other animals. In addition to their animal forms, the jinn occasionally assume human form to mislead and destroy their human victims. Certain hadiths have also claimed that the jinn may subsist on bones, which will grow flesh again as soon as they touch them, and that their animals may live on dung, which will revert to grain or grass for the use of the jinn flocks. Ibn Taymiyyah, an influential late medieval theologian whose writings would later become the source of Wahhabism, believed the jinn to be generally ignorant and truthful, oppressive and treacherous. He held that the jinn account for much of the magic perceived by humans, cooperating with magicians to lift items in the air unseen, delivering hidden truths to fortune tellers, and mimicking the voices of deceased humans during seances. In Surat al-Rahman, verse 33, God reminds jinn as well as mankind that they would possess the ability to pass beyond the furthest reaches of space only by his authority, followed by the question, then which of the favors of your Lord will you deny? In Surat al-Jinn, verses 8 to 10, Allah narrates concerning the jinn how they touched or sought the limits of the sky and found it full of stern guards and shooting stars, as a warning to man. It goes on further to say how the jinn used to take stations in the skies to listen to divine decrees passed down through the ranks of the angels. But those who attempt to listen now shall find fiery sentinels awaiting them. The Quran forbids their association with God, and advises men not to worship jinns instead of him. Quran says, and they imagine kinship between him and the jinn, whereas the jinn know well that they will be brought before. Quran Surah 37, verse 158. 7 kings of the jinn are traditionally associated with days of the week: Sunday, Al-Mudab; Monday, Murar al-Abayad Abu al-Harith; Tuesday, Abu Miraiz al-Amama; Wednesday, Barkan Abu al-Adjayb; Thursday, Shamharish; Friday, Abu Hassan Zobarah; Saturday, Abu Nuh Mayman. Karen. A related belief is that every person is assigned one's own special jinni, also called a Karen, and if the Karen is evil it could whisper to people's souls and tell them to submit to evil desires. The notion of a Karen is not universally accepted among all Muslims, but it is generally accepted that Shaitan whispers in human minds, and he is assigned to each human being. In a hadith recorded by Muslim Ibn al-Hajjaj, the companion Abdullah, son of Mas'ud, reported, the Prophet Muhammad said, "There is not one of you who does not have a jinni appointed to be his constant companion." They said, "And you too, O Messenger of Allah?" He said, "Me too, but Allah has helped me and he has submitted, so that he only helps me to do good." In Muslim cultures, the stories of the jinn can be found in various Muslim cultures around the world. In Sind, the concept of the jinni was introduced during the Abbasid era and has become a common part of the local folklore, which also includes stories of both male jinn called jinn and female jinn called jinniri. Folk stories of female jinn include stories such as the Jejul jinniri. Other acclaimed stories of the jinn can be found in the 1001 Nights story of the fisherman and the jinni. More than 3 different types of jinn are described in the story of Maruf the cobbler. A mighty jinni helps young Aladdin in the story of Aladdin and the Wonderful Lamp, as Asin Badr al-Din weeps over the grave of his father until sleep overcomes him, and he is awoken by a large group of sympathetic jinn in the tale of Ali Nur al-Din and his son Badr ad-Din Asin. During the Rwandan genocide, both Hutus and Tutsi avoided searching in local Rwandan Muslim neighborhoods and widely believed myths that local Muslims and mosques were protected by the power of Islamic magic and the efficacious jinn. In Cyangugu, arsonists ran away instead of destroying the mosque because they believed jinn were guarding the mosque and feared their wrath. Solomon and the jinn. According to traditions, the jinn stood behind the learned humans in Solomon's court, who in turn sat behind the prophets. The jinn remained in the service of Solomon, who had placed him in bondage, and had ordered them to perform a number of tasks. And before Solomon were marshalled his hosts, of jinn and men and birds, and they were all kept in order and ranks. The Qur'an relates that Solomon died while he was leaning on his staff. As he remained upright, propped on his staff, the jinn thought he was still alive and supervising him, so they continued to work. They realized the truth only when Allah sent a creature to crawl out of the ground and gnaw at Solomon's staff until his body collapsed. The Qur'an then comments that if they had known the unseen, they would not have stayed in the humiliating torment of being enslaved. Then, when we decreed death, nothing showed them his death except a little worm of the earth, which kept gnawing away at his staff. So when he fell down, the jinn saw plainly that if they had known the unseen, they would not have tarried in the humiliating penalty. Ibn al-Nadim, in his Kitab al-Firist, describes a book that lists 70 jinn led by Fuqtis, including several jinn appointed over each day of the week by Dodge, who translated al-Firist into English. Notes that most of these names appear in the Testament of Solomon, a collection of late 14th or early 15th century magico-medical manuscripts from Akana. Spain describes a different set of jinn again under Fuqtis, blaming him for various ailments. Other cultures. In the Guanche mythology from Tenerife in the Canary Islands, there existed the belief in beings that are similar to genies, such as the Maxios or Dioses Paradros and Tibicinas, as well as the demon Gayota that, like the Arabic Iblish, is sometimes identified with a genie. The Guanches were of Berber origin in North Africa. Christian sources Van Dyck's Arabic translation of the Old Testament uses the alternative collective plural jan to render the Hebrew word usually translated into English as familiar spirit in several places. In popular culture, Gallery Zulkarnain, with the help of some jinn, building the iron wall to keep the barbarian Gog and Magog from civilized peoples. An 1886 theatre poster advertising a production of the pantomime Aladdin with some jinn in the background. Page from 14th, 15th century manuscript Kitab al-Bulhan or Book of Wonders. Huma, a three-headed demon. Zorba or Zobarah, the demon king of Friday. Tabia, female demon assisting with childbirth. Samuris or Shamhurish, the demon king of Thursday. Maimon, the demon king of Saturday. Bibliography. Al-Ashkur, Dr. Umar Suleiman. The World of the Jinn and Devils. Boulder, Colorado. Al-Bashir Company for Publications and Translations. Barnhart, Robert K. The Barnhart Concise Dictionary of Etymology. 1995. Genie. The Oxford English Dictionary. 2nd edition, 1989. Abu al-Fatarazi, Tafsiri Raf al-Janan, Virginia Rue al-Janan IX 17, Tehran, 1988. Muhammad Ayyub Abari, Turfat el-Gharaib, ed. J. Martini, Tehran, 1971. A. Arnon S. Thompson, The Types of the Folktale, 2nd Rev. ed. Folklore Fellows Communications 184, Helsinki, 1973. Abul Muayyad Borki, Ajaeb Aldonia, ed. L.P. Smirnova, Moscow, 1993. A. Christensen, Essay sur la démonologie iranienne, det. KGL. Dansk Videnskabernes Selskab, Historisk Filologiska Meddelelser, 1941. R. Dozy, Supplement aux Dictionnaires Arabes, 3rd ed., Leiden, 1967. H. El-Shami, Folk Traditions of the Arab World, A Guide to Motif Classification, 2 vols, Bloomington, 1995. Abu Bakr Motaraja Mali Yazdi, Farrokh Nama, ed. Afshar, Tehran, 1967. Abu Ja'far Muhammad Kolana, Ketab al-Kafi, ed. A. Ghaffari, 8 vols, Tehran, 1988. Edward William Lane, An Arabic-English Lexicon, Beirut, 1968. L. Leffler, Islam in Practice. Religious Beliefs in a Persian Village, New York, 1988. U. Marsalf, Typologie des Position-Volksmärchens, Beirut, 1984. Massey, Croyances. M. Mahandust, Paddy de Hayi Wamari Deisaldar Janubi Khorasan, Honai Mordam, 1976, pp. 44-51. T. Noldaki, Arabs, in J. Hastings, ed. Encyclopedia of Religion and Ethics I, Edinburgh, 1913, pp. 659-73. S. Thompson, Motif Index of Folk Literature, Rev. ed. 6 vols. Bloomington, 1955. S. Thompson and W. Roberts, Types of Interchoral Tales, Folklore Fellows Communications 180, Helsinki, 1960. Sultan Muhammad ibn Taj al-Din Hassan, Esther Abadi, Tofat al-Majales, Tehran. Muhammad B. Mahmoud USI, Ajaib al-Makhlukat Virginia Garib al-Mawjudit, ed. M. Sotyada, Tehran, 1966.